We're having a fit and fabulous January here on the Julie Tussey Show, and I have none other than Heather Robertson of halfsizeme.com and Half Size Me, the podcast. We are going to be talking about weight loss in a new way. Oh my gosh, this is so good. And especially for those of you dealing with menopause and perimenopause, you're going to want to hear this. Welcome to the Julie Tussey Show. Get on the Julie Tussey train. We're going somewhere, baby.
Pop the glam pain. It's time for the Julie Tussey Show live guest current event scathing exposés. The original suburban bombshell, the big blonde baby, giving you the fastest, funniest, most informative 30 minutes of your life. And now, here's Julie Tussey.
She makes you want to. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into the Julie Tussey Show. We are so glad to have you here. And on the phone, I have none other than my amazing friend, Heather Robertson. Heather, hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, Julie.
Oh, my gosh. It's my privilege. I just love when you come on the show. You've changed my life, as everybody knows, and I sing your praises because of your story. But I think some of the listeners today, we've gotten a lot of new ones. I don't know if you knew this or not, but we became fully syndicated, and we're on iHeartRadio and reaching a whole big audience. So why don't you just take a few minutes and introduce yourself and maybe tell a little bit of your story?
Sure, yeah. Pretty much have struggled with my weight since childhood. I was an overweight kid, an obese teenager. I struggled with my weight into my 20s. I kept trying diet after diet after diet. I managed to yo-yo my way up from 225 to almost 300 pounds, and in really like 10 years' time. And I did crash diet once in high school, got down to what would be a kind of normal weight for me, but really never thought about how to keep that weight off. So when I went to college, I did what most kids do in college, right? Eating all the fast food and stuff, but I also struggled with my binge eating and really having no clue and floundering with maintaining that weight that I had lost. So it came back on over time, and then, of course, became much more than I originally had lost. And it wasn't until I had I found I was pregnant with my first son, that I realized that my starting weight with the pregnancy was the highest weight I had ever been, which was 290. And then it progressively went up, obviously, during the pregnancy itself. And I had gotten to a weight I never thought I'd see, which was over 300 pounds. And really my entire life, I just wanted to be normal. I wanted to be a normal size. I wanted to feel normal, be able to go get normal clothes like all the other friends I had. But that was not my reality. So I looked at myself and my husband, and we both had struggled with our weight. And I said, I don't want to pass this legacy on to our children. I really like Dave Ramsey, and he talks about changing your family tree with money. But I also think you can change your family tree with health and weight as well. And I wanted to do that. And I had also been a teacher. And the one thing I learned about kids in all of my time teaching was that you can tell them to do something, but at the end of the day, they watch you. They don't really listen to you. And so I thought, how am I going to raise my kids and tell them eat your vegetables and to limit the amount of pizza and find that balance when I myself could not do it, you know? And so for me, it was about really a gut check on what kind of parent I wanted to be, what kind of person I wanted to be, what I wanted to teach my children by my example, not by my words. And I started down the road of just making changes, making simple changes, going for a walk, starting to actually eat more vegetables, just little things I started layering on. And over the course of all my pregnancies, I was losing a little bit of weight in between, maintaining while I was pregnant, had 3 kids in basically what would be like 3 years time span. And then I kind of buckled down after my third one, finished out the weight loss. and grand total had lost about 170 pounds. And my mission during that entire time was kind of unusual, because I'd see people say to me all the time, "Oh, Heather, you're doing so great losing weight." And I would say, no, I'm really not focusing on losing weight. I'm focusing on learning how to maintain a weight loss, like how to learn to eat in a way I can sustain for the rest of my life. Because, you know, once you've lost a lot of weight and regained it back, you get that really miserable experience of feeling that. And it really is a misery to go through that whole process. And I just didn't want to do it again. I didn't want to be the person who lost all the weight just to gain it all back and more again. So I really made my mission this idea of maintenance, of really finding how I could lose weight and make it maintainable so I could live a life in a fairly normal body, doing all the things I wanted to do and not having to be obsessive about food or really rigid, and just finding that balance that I never had before. And so since January 2012, I've been maintaining my weight loss, and I started doing podcasting, created the Half Size Me show, which has blossomed into way more than I ever could have imagined. And now, you know, 7 years later, we've got a fully functioning business. I do coaching. We've got a community. It's like a family business now. So it's like one of the things, but I could never have foresaw that when I first started all this, right? It just kind of came out of, it was just naturally organic and formed. But that's me in a nutshell.
and I love it. And I have to say, it's all your fault that I'm losing weight really slowly. And I say that because, you know, I think it's probably foreign to a lot of people maybe listening, especially it's January. This is Fit and Fabulous month on the Julie Tussey Show. We try to hit the resolution solution, trying to make a resolution that you don't have to make over again next year. So it's kind of a whole new concept. I think when people hit January 1st, they're like, okay, through the holidays, I'm going to eat what I want, but on the 1st, I'm going to make this, you know, I'm going to do keto, or I'm going to do Atkins, or I'm going to do Weight Watchers, or I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm only eating 500 calories, or whatever it is that they do that's so extreme. And as a result of my relationship with Half Size Me and with you personally, I lost 24 pounds a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, and I've kept it off through some pretty serious stress and things, just kind of gone up and down a little bit. And now I'm back to slowly, I'm like 23.7 pounds down. So I'm almost back to my 24. Thank you. And, you know, what really helped though was that, your approach. I love your approach to do something that you can live, and to do it with maintenance in mind. And you said something where people would say, oh, you know, you're doing great losing weight, and they want to know how. And you're like, it's kind of, weight loss is kind of secondary to my training myself how to be healthier and how to make small changes that I can sustain.
Right.
And I love that. So this is kind of a different program, I think. And that's what I want. That's why I love to have you come on in January, because I love for people to realize that there is a different way to change your life with weight loss. And I think that you have found the key.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah. And honestly, that's my mission, is like, if I can get, and I'm going to be honest with you, most of the people that resonate with the message I'm putting out there are either really smart young people who see what their parents and their elders have gone through, and they're like, wait a minute, let me listen to what, we got some people in the community that are in that 20-year bucket, and they're like, you know, I've been listening to what you say, and I watch what my parents have gone through, and it's like, I don't want to do that, right? So they've learned from watching others. But many of the people that this message resonates with are people like you and I, Julie, that have gone through so many cycles of buying that new book that came out January 1st, of following that program, of doing it for that 6 to 8 weeks. That's statistical, right? And then stopping doing the program and then gaining all the weight back. But then we don't just gain back the exact amount. We then are kind of compensatory eating to make up for lost time, because heck, we've missed out on all the great food while we were on that diet for 6 to 8 weeks. And we usually do an overshooting of weight gain. So it's not like we just gain back the 15 we lost. We might gain back 20. And you do that cycle enough. And really one of the things that, you know, and I know you had a huge transformation when you did lose this weight, because partly you were doing strength training, right?
Yeah.
And what women don't think about, and if every woman could hear me on this, just hear me, when you do those extreme diets, you are not only losing some fat, you're also losing muscle tissue.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you do that, your body consumes muscle tissue. And then when you fat regain from getting off that diet, you don't gain that muscle back. So if you lost 3 pounds of muscle, you're not gaining 3 pounds of muscle back. You're gaining back 20 pounds of body fat, if that we stay with that analogy that I used a minute ago.
Yeah.
And what that means is over repetitive cycles of that. And I just had a discussion with a lady in one of our webinars, one of our maintainers webinars, where she said, I did a DEXA scan and I'm actually at a good BMI weight. But when they did the DEXA scan, I'm actually considered to be over fat. And she's like, how is that possible? And she talked about her history, and it's exactly what she did. She dieted, she gained the weight back. And what happens is you're slowly diminishing muscle tissue over time, and you're replacing it with fat tissue, and creating a situation where you eventually could have a normal body weight, but your body composition is all, it's all in the incorrect direction that you want it to be.
Yeah,
and that really
fluffy.
Exactly. You get fluffy. You don't look the way you want to look, and you're wondering, why is it that I'm at this body weight, but yet my body doesn't look the way I thought it would or should? And that's usually because of those repetitive diet cycles. So I just want to mention that, because it's not as linear as I just lost weight and gained it back. I lost weight and I gained it back. You're really messing with different tissues in the body, and that can have a long-term effect on you that you might not be thinking about right now. So if I could safeguard any one woman listening to this, think about this a totally different way, so you're not deteriorating muscle tissue over time and replacing it with body fat tissue. Just want to throw that out there.
Well, and that's a good point, and that brings me to a point, though, that you're going to, when you tell women this, that I went through, and that is, if I am not going to the gym and then I go to the gym, my weight goes up about 3 pounds and it stays there for a while, just from that change. And that used to tick me off, Heather. Oh, I would get so mad. And I actually did that for a couple years in a row, and I would go and it wouldn't come off, and I'd get frustrated, and I'm like, this isn't working. So
Right,
you have to kind of get this mindset where it's not about just the number on the scale, but it's about your body and your health.
Right. Well, and that comes down to, and maybe this will be one of those truth bomb episodes where we drop lots of bombs here, and it's like, whoa, truth. But here's the thing. At your body weight, and there's tons of research on this, the human body, anybody that's human, that's here on planet Earth, your body weight fluctuates on a daily basis 5 to 6 pounds. That is totally normal. So you wake up one day, I'm 125. The next day, you weigh in at 130. That's totally within a range of normality, meaning you didn't have to do anything crazy. That's just that your body can do that. It's considered a normal deviation, okay? And then when you think about strength training or any of these other things, exercise in general, if somebody's not been exercising and then they start exercising, you're creating slight inflammation in your body, and it's not a bad thing. If you want your muscles to get stronger, you have to put them under resistance, which it really is causing micro tears in the tissue.
Yeah.
And then what happens is your body does what it normally does. It wants you to survive. It wants you to do well. It actually goes into repair mode. It's going to send extra fluid, things to that tissue to repair it. Well, when that happens, you might think, oh, I feel kind of swollen. Like you might actually be feeling kind of swollen. Your body might be retaining more fluid. It's actually working on repairing those muscle tissues. That's a totally normal situation. So for a woman out there who's in this healthy journey and she decides, I want to start strength training, I would say don't give a lot of validity to what the scale says for at least 6 weeks if you're consistently adding strength training in. Once you get past that 6-week window, your body will be much more used to going 2 or 3 times to the gym and lifting weights, and really you'll start to see it level back out. But that's a totally normal process. You go from not working out to working out. You're putting your body under stress. It's going to react to that stress. And if you allow that to sabotage you, you're not going to get past that hurdle to get to the other side. And that's what I see a lot of women do. They shut down, like you said, scales up 2-3 pounds. Well, this isn't working. Well, actually, no, it very much is working. You're just using the wrong measuring tool in this moment. Yeah.
Not the bad boy scale.
The evil scale.
The Lord of all weight measurement.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard. Well, when I was really working on everything, I decided not to weigh in, not only not weekly, but I only weighed once a month. And that just helped me mentally so much more, and to break that scale. Now I can get on the scale every day.
Right. And I was going to say this. Let me just throw this out there. I had a coaching client. She put the scale away for 2 weeks. She lost weight. She put the scale away again for 2 weeks. She at one point was really married to the scale. She felt like she had to weigh in at least weekly, if not daily. And I said, let's just play a game. Let's just put it away. We'll bring it back out. What she did is she realized in that time that she didn't have to have the scale to lose weight. And what she focused on, ready for this, Julie? Her habits. She focused on her tracking of her food. She focused on hitting her protein goals. She focused on measuring and weighing her food. And I told her, I've never seen that piece of plastic that sits on your bathroom scale do any of that for you. I've never seen it track your food. I've never seen it weigh and measure your food. I've never seen it make you go do a workout. It literally sits there and does nothing. If you step on it, it gives data back. That's the extent of its abilities. And what that means is if you're thinking about changing your body composition, if you're changing your body weight long term, it's going to come down to the daily habits and behaviors that you choose to do or not do. And that's where you want to put all your focus and energy. And it's hard not to see that scale as almighty and all-knowing and all-being, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it does nothing. It's really useless other than that data. Yet we make it mean so much. And so I always tell people, if the scale is tripping you up, try what my client did. Put it away for 1 to 2 weeks. Or like what Julie did, put it away for a month. Focus all that crazy energy and attention that you would have been focusing on the scale and stepping on, stepping off, after shower, after peeing, all that stuff we do. Put it away and just focus on your habits. Because those habits, the behaviors you do, are going to be the thing that swings that scale one way or the other.
That's exactly it. And we have to avoid scale psycho.
Yes. Absolutely.
We're just so conditioned in this, it really is. It always comes back to this when you and I talk, but it really is a head game. It's really how you think about things. And so I can honestly say I'm still a little tied to the scale, but I'm trying really hard. I'm trying really hard not to let that be my only measurement in my life of my success, because it's so tied into who we are, who we think we are, and you know what I mean? Our self-value and worth. It's kind of crazy.
Right.
Well,
absolutely.
The last time you and I talked, we hit on a subject that a lot of women deal with, and I'm sorry, guys, but if you have a woman, you need to hear this, and that is perimenopause and weight loss. Mm-hmm. Have you come up with any more on that you would want to talk about on the show?
As far as, is there a specific category you're wanting information on, or?
Well, just so many women in perimenopause, our bodies are changing so much, and what we did in our 20s and early 30s doesn't work anymore. And I know that you and I had talked about that, and I'm studying more and more on it, but I thought maybe this might be a good time to address. Have you learned any things that you think are helpful?
Yeah, so I deal with a lot of clients that are usually in that perimenopausal or menopausal state. And as a matter of fact, I've had to bring that up to my coaching clients a couple of times, and I thought they were going to kill me through the phone because God forbid I mention it. But at the same time, if I see signs that I think might be playing out that are not helping them with their goals, I'm going to bring them up, right? And so the first thing is, when we're talking perimenopause, what I typically see as being the biggest problematic areas is really around the sleep and the anxiety. I would say that is for sure the biggest issues in that span. And what I would encourage women to really think about, if you are thinking you're going, please do not travel down the rabbit hole of listening to all of the pseudoscientists on podcasts talk about how to do these different hormonal diets and stuff. I would say go see your actual doctor, your real life doctor with a lab coat. I would get with your OBGYN, and I would actually have a full blood test done and a hormone panel done. And I would find out where you actually fall in the reality of that, and they can assess that for you. I had one done. They told me exactly where I fell. And they actually will start to help you with these situations if you want to consider medication. It could be something as simple as a birth control pill to regulate your hormones if you're not currently on it. It could be altering some. And just that, Julie, for me, got me to where I'm not having the night sweats as much. I'm not having the hot flashes. and I'm not having the anxiety sleep situations that I was having, because it was really bad for a while. And I was just having a lot of stress around that. So just talking to my doctor, getting some slight adjustments to what I was doing helped tremendously with that. But had I traveled down the rabbit hole of listening to all these people giving their best theories, it really wasn't what I needed, right? So I would highly encourage that. And really what you're thinking about is reducing stress. This is a time in your life, ladies, where you need to take back the reins a little bit and say no more often than yes. Put more white space into your day. We can't, like when we were in our 20s and maybe even our 30s, we were like all about crushing it. You got all the nighttime classes at college, you're working full time in the day, you got all this stuff going on. And as women that are going through that perimenopause, menopausal time phase, what I see is that they still want to keep that same level of productivity up and that feeling of I got every day maximized, but your body is really saying, no, that's too much stress and I'm exhausted and I need a break. Exactly. And so what I have learned for myself is I schedule less now. I used to have like some of my days from morning till night filled, and I was just burned out by the end of the day. And so now I put more free space in my day where I can recharge, refocus, because honestly, that level of exhaustion is not helping you. So if the goal were to be weight loss and fitness, right? Yeah. Anything that's going to interfere with that needs to be addressed. So if you eat out of the plan you want to normally be eating in, like you're eating out of accordance with your goals, you need to look at what's triggering it. Is it because you're exhausted, because you're not sleeping, so you're naturally gravitating towards more carbs during the day, or just eating munchy grazy in general? Are you forcing yourself to stay up late at night because you think you should be, or have all these things you got to get done, but maybe just going to bed earlier and getting up earlier would actually serve you, and you're nighttime grazing? Are you finding that you're just crushing it in the gym and trying to do all these hard workouts, but you feel completely wiped out and you can't eat enough to get yourself back? You might need to alter your exercise too. Sometimes that less is more approach is actually really good during this time period. So reducing stress, putting white space in, see your doctor, actually get a legit doctor to give you some input on this, and focus on taking anxiety and stress out as much as you can. Say no to more people than yes, and start to prioritize the sleep and the kind of more restful things that you need to do for your body. Exactly. And now I'm going to be celebrating next month. It'll be my 1 year for no periods. Woo woo! Ooh, yes! Congratulations! Thank you. It only took me like 5 years to get through. You can, if you're listening to me now and you have access to go back, you can go and learn my story about how long it's taken me to try and get through menopause. It's been a rough ride for me, and I will say though that the closer I've gotten now to the end of it, the worse it has gotten for me, wanting to eat sugar and wanting to eat carbs, and the stress it just seems like stress is just more powerful. Right. And so I keep telling my mom, please tell me that there's, hope on the other side. Right. And so I'm counting on that, but I did have to make some changes. In my 20s, I could do the completely fat-free diet, and don't anybody throw anything or send bad emails. That was what we were doing back then. That's what the status quo for losing weight. And it really, really worked for me. But as I got older, I started not feeling well when I would do cut out fats. And, I would I crave sugar like never before, and that started in perimenopause, and of course the night sweats and you're not sleeping well, and all, it's a whole big gamut. So I had to make dietary changes, just to even feel better, let alone to see my body lose weight. Absolutely. Increasing protein, and I notice you do that a lot. You talk to me about it a lot, but trying to get to cut sugar down, I did cut it out completely when I was working with you, and I thought you were trying to kill me the first 5 days. I remember sending a text saying, Heather, are you trying to kill me? But I did notice, Heather, and this is what I love about cutting sugar out, and I haven't done it since the holidays, but I'm really, really thinking about doing it again. And that was that once I cut the sugar out, not only do I feel better, but I just seem to have so much more control with my appetite. Yeah. And I want to also offer this up to the listeners too. So the two biggest things that I see that are the most impactful for women going through this time period is really the protein and fiber. Those are the two biggest things. And when I rock my fiber and my protein, I don't get cravings. I don't have the munchies. I really feel totally in control. If I have a day where I might grab something out with the kids, or I'm not maybe as pre-planned in my, with what I got on hand, and I find that one of those two factors slips, I definitely notice a difference. And just to kind of let ladies know, I mean, I look at a lot of food logs, and most women are really low on both protein and fiber. Like on the average on protein, I'll see somewhere between 50 to 70 grams per day. And for fiber, it's usually around 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. And really the recommended is 25. And I find I actually feel really good in the 30s, like if I'm getting about 30 grams or so. For men, that's kind of men's territory, but I feel better. And where we're thinking about getting that fiber, of course, your whole grains, things like that, but tons of fruits and vegetables, whole fruits and vegetables, they're just going to provide a lot of fiber. And really that balance of the protein and the fiber can make a difference. And then it's not that you can't have any sugar, but what I do see is if somebody starts the day eating sugar, they almost can't seem to get it back under control. It kind of gets away from them.
Right.
So if you were to think about having solid nutrition all through the day, the protein, the fiber, getting in the 3 square meals, at least, balancing out snacks if you need it because you're going too long without eating. But having one treat per day is fine, but position it towards the end of the day when you've been well fed and nourished all day long. But if you start the day out with a donut and then you go to lunch and you grab a bag of candy, or the mid-afternoon crash and you have a candy, you're constantly just wreaking havoc, and it's sending you all over the place with the blood sugar. And that's where a lot of that munchy craving comes from.
Yeah.
And if you can create, almost like, think of it as a foundation to a house, right? You're not going to build this beautiful mansion on a cruddy foundation.
Right.
You're going to want a solid, beautiful, level foundation that's going to support that structure. Well, it's the same thing with your nutrition. If the protein and fiber are happening continuously through the day, and you're prioritizing maybe a treat later on once the day is towards the end, you're going to feel so much better and more in control versus this havoc of all day going back and forth with the sugar. And then you feel like you never, really have a balanced day. So just want to throw that out there for someone listening. I think that fiber piece is huge. And the more that I've ventured into the perimenopause state, I've noticed the fiber is hugely impactful for me.
Really? I haven't thought about that. I mean, I take like Metamucil every day. I had my gallbladder out. So I don't know if that has any effect of getting stomach aches really easy if I eat too many whole grains, and I have had to cut gluten out. And so I kind of struggle with that, to be honest with you. And I've never thought about trying to figure out how much fiber I get every day to see. I do know that if I cut the sugar and up the protein, because, true confessions to my friend here. If I don't purpose to get protein, do you know my average protein is like 20 to 30 grams a day?
Yeah, I've seen it that low too. Yeah, I'd say probably more the average falls towards the 50 number. Yeah. If somebody's at least attempting in the day, they'll get around 70. But really, like, that's not uncommon. And most people don't even look. If I'll look at somebody's fitness log or whatever, I'll say to them, "Did you know fiber is not on there?" Like, a lot of people just dismiss it. But what I have seen is that if fiber is high, what that usually means, if somebody's not eating a ton of processed things like protein bars and stuff like that, it means they're eating a good amount of vegetables. I mean, like, if you took an entire bag of steamed broccoli and ate it, I mean, that's a lot of fiber.
Okay, so are you talking Beano, sister, or what are you doing? Because those are so good for us, but what can we do as women to get where we can have more fiber and it not do what it does? You know what it does.
Well, a lot of things, even like right now, my love has been butternut squash. I've been eating, 300 grams of butternut squash every day at lunch, and then spaghetti squash. I've been eating that at dinner just because it's what's in season, right?
Right.
But all of your vegetables, I mean, if you really kind of take vegetables and make them at least 50% of your plate, it's not difficult to hit the fiber. It really isn't.
Hi, this is Marilyn. I'd love for you to go and subscribe to the Julie Tussey Show Fabulous Cooking on YouTube.com/C/TME-TV.
I want to recap what you said because it was so important that you are taking vegetables and you're getting about 6 to 7 grams of fiber per serving, but you're eating them throughout the day. And when you have that and you have a lot of protein, you feel so much better. You feel like in control. And
absolutely.
Do you use MyFitnessPal for that? Like it doesn't. I don't think it really shows that, but you can like upgrade in that. What do you recommend if somebody really wants to start tracking these things?
Oh, so use the MyFitnessPal free account. What a lot of people don't realize is if you take your phone, I'm going to give you a little trick here. If you're holding it vertically where it's the thin way, you'll see your calories, right? You'll see how many calories you ate, all the different meals. If you turn the phone on its side to where it's laying horizontal, it will actually put all the macronutrients across the bottom of the screen. So you don't need to pay it up. You just need to let the phone rotate. And when you rotate it, now the one thing you will need to do if you actually want to check fiber, you want to check sugar grams, you want to check protein grams, you just need to make sure your diary is set for that. You go into settings and you can select what information you want it to kind of make visible to you. So some people are very particular about certain macronutrients, or they might be concerned about sodium due to some medication or heart conditions. So you can kind of modify the settings for yourself based on what you're trying to accomplish. But I find that where I'm at now, and again, I'm more in that perimenopausal state, that the fiber and the protein together seem to be really helping quite a bit control the cravings and the urges to eat more impulsively.
Well, I'm going to be working on that, and I just want you to know you heard it here first on the Julie Tussey Show. Keeping you in the know on the Julie Tussey Show. I love
Absolutely.
that. Thank you. Well, I was looking at your podcasts. I listen to them quite often, and I've noticed you're up to 363 podcast release. Congratulations. You are awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That is amazing. That is like you are like the general. You know what I mean? That's amazing. What do you see for your future, Heather? You've done so much. Is there anything you can share?
Yeah. Well, what we've really done is built up our community. Over the years, we've just really worked on putting tons of value into our community. I've got so many courses in there and webinars. I think we've got over 300 webinars. We got all this content in there. And what I keep getting emails from people is, I really want to work with you. I want to coach with you. I could use your one-on-one help, or I have a specific pain point, but maybe I'm not a community person. Like, I'm not somebody who's going to be in a community environment and do well, or I really want to work with you. And so what I'm doing is I'm branching this year into a little bit of a different direction, where we're going to be turning out products that anyone can purchase. And these are going to be a couple different buckets. One, I'm pairing with a great developer, and I'm doing coaching casts. So say you're specifically struggling with, one of them is called Break Free from Your Food Prison. And this is somebody who struggles with nighttime eating, grazing, impulse eating, all that. It's literally a coaching series that will be released to you daily for so many days, where I will be coming on and it'll get texted to you. It'll get emailed to you. You listen to it. You follow the assignment, because people love all the courses and content, but sometimes they say, I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know if I'll ever get done with it all. This is kind of like me taking the best of and delivering it to you in small 5-minute chunks, and you getting a small assignment to do so you can work through it at a reasonable pace. So these coaching casts are going to be awesome, because I've got all these specific areas I want to focus on. And then I'm doing teachable toolkits, which are me taking a lot of this other struggle points and actually giving somebody an action plan to work through it. Like, how do I find my calories and my TDEE and my macros? And I'm actually breaking it down into lessons in combination with videos and audios that they can listen to. And it's kind of, they can self-pace themselves. So what I want to do is, my mission this year for 2019 is, how can I help? And what I'm trying to do is branch out and offer help to people that are outside of the community and the listeners of the show that maybe have these specific struggle points, and they're either audio-based learners or they're video / self-guided learners, and trying to basically give them resources so they can stop struggling and they can start getting help on their own terms. So I'm really excited about that because
Me too.
I like learning new things, and it's so cool because the developer is like, you can send them a message in the middle of the day to prompt them to do what they want or to do what they're working on. I'm like, so like random check-ins? This is awesome.
Oh, yes.
So it's like it's totally feeding my teacher part of my brain. So I'm loving that. And then really where Half Size Me is going, it's one of like, I said, it's an organic thing. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about delivering the message in various different ways, and just watching it grow and it become kind of, we're a mom and pop organization, but we're just excited to see so many people gravitating toward it, asking us for help and support, wanting to listen to this message of maintainable, sustainable weight loss. And really, we want to be the counterculture to what everybody else is kind of preaching, which is this idea that, yeah, weight loss is great and losing weight fast might seem wonderful in the moment, but really, like, what's the long tail approach to this? Where do you see yourself 20, 30 years down the line?
Right.
And are you going to keep doing this? Because I just know that feeling of crashing and burning after losing weight, and and gaining it all back. I don't want others to go through that. So if I can save somebody from that misery and that experience, that's my mission, right? I want to help them find a way to do this and lose 50 whatever pounds and actually be able to keep it off. That to me is the prize. It's the keeping it off piece.
Exactly.
So yeah, I can't say for sure, like I don't have a 20-year plan for Half Size Me. I kind of just put my nose down, do the work, and I keep kind of seeing where we're going, and it just keeps growing and getting better. So I figure we're on a path somewhere. I just don't know where we're going to go quite yet.
Well, I love the 2019 things, and so let's tell the listeners the different ways that they can connect. Like, we know that they can listen to the podcast, and you can talk about that, and then maybe talk about how people who aren't part of these things can get in on your new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything will be housed in some way at halfsizeme.com. So if you're interested in any of these products, I think the coaching casts are going to probably get launched. I have 3 of them that are going to get launched right around the same time as each other. And one's about never quit again. One's about working out of your own food prison. And the other one is stop dieting and start losing. I love that one. I can't wait.
Love that.
So those 3 coaching casts will launch, and it probably will be February, March of 2019 in that time frame. And the teachable toolkits will probably launch about the same time. But if you go to halfsizeme.com, we should have a shop tab. You'd be able to find it via that. And of course, if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, all that, I'll make announcements through the podcast to make people aware. And then basically get on the newsletter, halfsizeme.com /VIP. I'm sending out mindset tips because that, as you said right at the beginning, you said the mind is really the thing we have to work at. So every month I'm releasing a mindset tip. I am also offering up, if somebody is listening and you think, I'd love an opportunity to maybe coach with Heather, I'm actually giving away 20-minute coaching sessions through that VIP newsletter for listeners of the show. So you could fill out a survey. You might randomly get selected for one. I'll be selecting 2 people out of all the people that fill that out. Or you can hit reply and do an ask question for one of our Ask Coach Heather episodes. So I'm trying to help as many people as I can, reach as many people as I can. And I started doing coaching now on the show just so other people can hear how others are getting help, and maybe they can start implementing some of those strategies in their own life.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to have to see if the Big Blonde Baby can get in on some of that stuff.
Get on the newsletter, Julie. Get on the newsletter.
I didn't know we had one. I should have known that. So yes. I'll be hanging up and typing. So
there you go.
Well, Heather, I just so appreciate you. Such good information. I know that the listeners of the Julie Tussey Show are going to be so encouraged, and I really pray that every step you take is ordered and it becomes everything that God has for you, because I just feel like there's so much in you to help people. And so I want you to know I'm 100% behind you. I'm going to keep having you on the podcast as long as you'll come. And
absolutely.
I just really am seeing great things from you and ahead of you guys. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm honored that you had me back on. Thank you so much. And what you're doing is fantastic, because I know that women that are struggling with this perimenopause and menopausal time frame. We need to hear from other women that are pushing through and succeeding, you know, and knowing it's not impossible, and knowing that, you know, here's the deal. Your body is going to continuously change until the day you die. You know, I mean, as we age, things change. And it's really about not feeling you have to be locked into doing everything one way, but actually being willing to be a student of yourself and really pay attention to what's working for you now versus what's not, and making changes. And I think when we can settle into this idea of change is inevitable, and it's more like, am I just going to, you know, go along and try to forge through and figure new things out, or am I going to give up and throw my hands up and say, well, this is what I'm stuck with? And I don't think we have to do that as women. I think we can continuously be learning and changing and growing in this process. And I think that's actually kind of the most amazing part of it, that our body is not only keeping us alive on a day-to-day basis, but it's actually trying to allow us to age gracefully and do what we need to do. We just have to be willing to receive that information and change and not feel resentful about it. And I really would encourage all women to hear that, because that's one of the beautiful things about you, Julie. You always just have this feistiness and happiness for life. And I know not all of your life is great, right? Nobody's is.
Right.
But you show up with a smile, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to push through. And that's what we want to do in this phase of our life, is realize that some days it's going to be a crud show. But you know what? We can learn from it. We can move on, and we're not victims. We're strong, and we're going to be capable, and we're going to push through. And that's what we can do, and not lose sight of what we're capable of, because we might feel some things are out of our control.
Exactly. Oh, I couldn't have said it better. And that's such a hopeful message. And I know we need it, because if I can go through this and make it, anybody can, because when it comes to gracefulness, it wasn't happening, sister. It wasn't happening.
But you're here.
I'm here, though, and I'm still doing my thing, and I'm trying to grow and
love it.
Yeah. Well, Heather, thank you so much. Give our love to Joel, and we will talk to you really soon.
Absolutely. You take care.
Thank you. You too. This is Julie Tussey telling you, you only get one life. Live it to the fullest. I'd like to remind you to please subscribe and follow us everywhere that you can in social media. Leave a great review for us. It does help. Wanted to give a shout out also to Jennifer Woods at Savvy Salon and Spa in Lexington, Kentucky. She has done my voluminous lash extensions. I have to crack up because they're really voluminous. They look beautiful. So give her a shout and go see her. She is amazing and talented. You're going to love it. It just gives you such a beautiful look when you have your eyelashes completely done. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Share us with your friends. If you're curious about microblading your eyebrows, go visit Holly at Feather and Blade in Lexington, Kentucky. Fantastic work, artistry, and great prices. Again, that's Holly at Feather and Blade in Lexington, Kentucky. Here to show you the impossible is possible if you only believe. Tussey Homes Incorporated would like to thank you for listening to The Julie Tussey Show. If you're looking for a beautiful original design home in the Richmond, Kentucky area, please reach out to them at facebook.com/Tussey Construction. Tussey Homes, welcome home. After a week of hearing hundreds of I can'ts, I'm here today to tell you you can. Find us on social media at facebook.com/The Julie Tussey Show and Instagram, The Julie Tussey Show, home of the original suburban bombshell. Want to feel amazing, strong, and healthy any time of the day or night? Go to Get Fit in Richmond, Kentucky. Open 24 hours a day with memberships as low as $14.99 a month. Fitness on your schedule. Get Fit. I know you're the man I want to meet. Everything about you calls my name. If life is my oyster, darling, pass the hot sauce.